All right, welcome on in everyone to another episode of First CSP, the channel dedicated to bringing you the first council shoulder patch issued from each council in Scouting America, both past and present. Today we're going to take a look at Daniel Boone 414. This council was originally formed in 1925 as a name change from Buncombe County 414, and out of North Carolina. Let's go ahead and head on over to the patch table to take a look at the T1 with its red border, light blue twill sky, red letters, and gold rifle. It's a nice, simple, classic design that they have actually stuck with primarily over the years. Taking a look at the back on this one, we have a gauze cloth back for the T1. And then, like many of the early CSPs, they second issued CSP added BSA. So here is a T2, essentially staying with that same design, adding BSA. This T2 was formerly divided into two variations, A and B. The A, the rifle is gold, and the B, the rifle is dark gold. As this matches the T1 gold rifle, we do believe this happens to be a T2A with a plastic back. So there is the T1 up top without the BSA and the T2 down at the bottom with the BSA. We generally stay away from JSPs on the channel, as this is really primarily just a council shoulder patch channel, focused channel. However, in the CSP collecting guide, for whatever reason, for 1997, they do have both the yellow and red border issues for the Jamboree. It is a Jamboree that I attended, so I went through my collection to see if I had one. I do happen to have the red border. Again, this just continues to show that they have maintained the central rifle imagery in their CSPs over the years, and that will be important as we get to the very end of this video. Been saving something. This is actually classified as the SA6:1. So the first known issue for the Jamboree was actually a yellow border, which I don't happen to own, was the SA6. And then later they found out that the red border was also produced. So when they have to insert that after the fact, they use that colon designation. So this is the SA6:1 from the National Jamboree in 1997. Again, continuing to illustrate that they were using that rifle design. Well, more recently, as of about a week ago, it came to my attention through some of the collecting forums that I monitor that Daniel Boone had put out a new CSP produced in 2025, at least date of manufacture, because of the what's listed on the back. So we know it was produced in 2025. It might have started selling here in 2026. It is what is currently in stores for the council, and is also available through National's website currently. And it looks like this. Not to be confused with the T1, but it is essentially the same red border, light blue sky. It's kind of more of a tealish sky. We'll put them up head to head in just a moment. Red letters, gold rifle. And it was funny because the person who originally posted this said they went to the scout shop, saw that this was what was currently in the council office for Daniel Boone, and they thought it was interesting that it had no fleur-de-lis and no BSA. Obviously, scouting has moved into Scouting America and is no longer just Boy Scouts of America. So it makes sense that there's not the BSA. When I first saw this, I said, that's a reproduction of their T1. Now it will be interesting when and if we get a new collecting guide down the road, if this is actually listed as a reproduction or not. Essentially, it's the council dealing with the fact that we're no longer using BSA, we're using Scouting America, And then councils obviously have to choose whether or not to put Scouting America in full text on their CSPs. Some have, but many have not because it's a lot of letters and obviously takes up space, which might be used for other imagery or whatnot. Or maybe they just, would rather have the council name and other artifacts on their CSPs, etc. So the council has chosen not to write Scouting America for Daniel Boone, but they're then removing the BSA. So now it actually looks like they're going back to what was their very first issue. I don't know how much that was potentially intentional or not. They're not going to be confused for one another, I will say. I do say I like the original T1 a bit better. The current issue at the bottom there kind of looks like a bad copy. It does have scout backing on it. And again, we can find from this tag here, it was produced in 2025. So we know that. And again, I don't really think someone's going to confuse it for a first issue T1, but if you're just going solely by descriptions alone, you may think that it is the T1 because it's, a blue twill background. There's no BSA. After the T1, when you look at the collecting guide on patches produced, there's the T2, which adds the BSA, but all the others, which then become solidly sewn, solidly embroidered patches, but they all have BSA, whether it's a red BSA or it moved to a black BSA at one point, again, with similar imagery to what we've seen here in these issues, but they all had BSA. So now you go and you see, okay, it doesn't have BSA. Oh, it must be a T1. Well, that's not the case. This is the most recently produced patch here at the bottom. So we don't have a number for it. It's going to be a T something as far as from where they left off in the produced patches. They were somewhere in the 60s. I'm sure they've produced a number since, so this is going to be in the 70s or 80s, a T, 80 something, when and if it gets a designation number. But it's one of the most interesting things I've seen recently where essentially the council, in moving forward with Scouting America, taking off BSA on their patches, looks like they've then reproduced their very first CSP. So I find that as a collector super fascinating. Hopefully you find it interesting as well. This might not have been something that's come across your radar as either an enthusiast or a collector. If you do want the bottom one, it is what they send out at National. I just ordered from National, even though you can't see the picture on the website. I did call the Daniel Boone Council office. That scout shop will sell you one, but they will not mail it. So the only option you have right now, if you'd like that, is to go through the national office. Now, this is being filmed 3/17/26, so take that for what it's worth. If you see this years down the road, that may not be the case. But that is the first issue and the most recent issue for Daniel Boone. Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of First CSP. We'll be back tomorrow with another brand new episode. We hope to see you then. But for now, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.